Hey, welcome. We are revisiting the Mania, Wrestlemania Rewatch podcast. I'm Carlos,
And I'm Maria, your resident mark in training.
and today we have a big task on our hand because we will be doing the first of pay per view, first WrestleMania to be a two-night event. So I think we're gonna be able to get this in all in one sitting. If it,
It's the most unique, controversial, a little bizarre WrestleMania that I've watched to date.
yeah, I was not there, you were not there, nobody was there except for the performers. So with that, we'll get into our favorite matches, if there were any favorite matches, because this is a very, like Maria mentioned, controversial pay per view where there were some hits, some misses, and we'll go as far as what's our favorite as her as a marking training, first time watching this pay per view that no one attended, and for me, revisiting this pay per view as someone watching it again for the
So,
second time.
why did no one attend this event? So, this, like Carlos said, marks several firsts. The first WrestleMania without a live crowd due to COVID-19, the pandemic. It was also the first to be spread across two nights. What else?
It was the first one that gave us cinematic matches. We have two cinematic matches: the Undertaker Boneyard match and the John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, the the Firehouse, the Firefly Funhouse match.
Say that three times fast. So we had a few questionable booking decisions that we'll talk about in just a few. But despite these flaws, it remains a memorable event, one that we're actually still talking about today in 2025. And people are still talking about. Y'all have a lot of favorites. I was looking at the internet, I saw a few comments talking about a few of these matches being pretty historical, like that Undertaker match. So let's break it all down match by match, starting with night one.
Night one, our first match to kick off WrestleMania, the COVID edition. Well, first, I always like to give the
You want to set the
set.
premise?
Yeah, let's go ahead
Okay.
and show. This was the set, everybody.
Did you like it? Did you love
Love
it?
it.
Did you think
What
it
did
was
you guys
okay?
think about it? I know it's not the most elaborate thing that you're seeing, and it's very, very small because it's taped, this portion, inside of the WWE Performance Center
In Orlando,
in
Florida.
Orlando, Florida, where they do most of the NXT tapings.
And this was filmed March 25th and 26th of 2020. Y'all found out later that it actually went live on April 4th and 5th, again, marking the first time a WrestleMania was aired over two nights. And also, there was a tape delay.
Yeah.
Usually, we see it in person, in vivo, live. But of course, this time, due to the pandemic, there was a delay.
Yep. And then we had a host, Gronkowski, who had nothing else to do during COVID, like many of us.
Except for baked bread.
Yeah, and host WrestleMania. So the first match, finally, we're here. It is the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Did we talk about the tagline?
What was the tagline?
Too big for just one night.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, there were zero attendees, but as the legend says, or that there might have been
Yeah, I was told
37,000 people in attendance. This was
Vince.
the biggest night ever,
Yeah,
the
I heard.
highest number.
Yeah, Vince was saying that this was the biggest gate he's ever had. And even though there was coronavirus, I don't know who you could believe. You could believe me. You could believe Vince.
Was it zero? Was it 37,000?
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
But with this match, we have goes for 15 minutes and 5 seconds.
Right.
Maria, you have any favorites or anyone that you're rooting for between the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross?
Well, during this first match that was aired, because there was one before this that wasn't televised, I was a fan of the Kabuki Warriors.
Okay.
So match time for this is 15 minutes, 5 seconds. Who are you a fan of?
I was also a fan of the Kabuki Warriors. I was not a fan of the name, but I did have a favorite duel in this. It was Asuka and
I know you're a big
Kyrie.
fan of Asuka.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alexa Bliss is what, just a little over 5'1". All these ladies are on the same height.
Yep.
They all have that short girl, strong girl energy. The highest or tallest person was Asuka at 5'3". So what do you think about the storyline for the first match?
I don't think there was that much of a storyline
Okay.
to it as far as a build up to it. It was just these two mismatch people or women, Nikki and Alexa,
Right.
managed to like perfect strangers type of thing where they just put together and they're facing off a well-established team.
Wasn't that a show, Perfect Strangers?
It was based in Chicago.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was based in Chicago.
That would give us the first introduction to Harriet Winslow.
I remember watching that on, during those summertime reruns when we were off of school. So Bliss and Cross, close friends with polar opposite personalities, like you said. They're seeking redemption after previous failed bids.
Right.
I really enjoyed Asuka wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
She's a fierce wrestler, so we see a little bit of chaos. We get a flying elbow that connected perfectly, and we get some lands hit by Bliss, Twisted Bliss, to secure a pin for this.
Yeah, that was a good spot right there where Kyrie's giving Alexa a little bit of a spear there. There's not that many pictures I could pull out or find on the internet, but those were like a few men. Like you mentioned, there was that Twisted Bliss. There was a lot of good tag team. I felt like this was a fast paced, well structured match. You could see that all the women there had solid chemistry because of all the tandem work. Like you mentioned, there was a part where they do like a bulldog into a drop kick. I believe that was from Asuka and Kyrie Sane. And then there was a good spot that I remember like towards the end where there's a Twisted Bliss, like you mentioned, and then Kyrie Sane is off screen and she comes in and does her insane elbow. And then there was another spot where they do like a power bomb and a clothesline spot too. So I thought that this was a really good like match as far as trying to get the energy there. I'm sure like if there was people there in the audience, they definitely would have been able to get them on their feet.
Yeah.
And I just without it, we had to rewatch. I watched this like maybe 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure Maria got to do the same time as I did, but besides the rewatch that we just did, so even with that, just trying to get through it, trying to pick up the pieces, the spots, and everything. It's a good, solid match, but I'm not sure if it's something that it's worth revisiting. What about you?
All right. So, like we talked about, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross they win via pinfall. Did you think that one was appropriate? Just to
Yeah, you need to have them win via pinfall. No type of cheap, gimmicky or shortcuts or anything like that, because even though Asuka and Kyrie are a strong tag team, they haven't had that many like title defenses.
Okay.
But they still held it for a very long time.
Ooh.
So if you manage to get the newer champions a clean win, like no cheating, no anything, no controversy, then it makes the newer champions look a little bit
Controversy
stronger.
is always fun, but I get what you're saying. So why was it significant for me? This marked the first title change of the no crowd era. We had no crowd. Helped establish Bliss and Cross as a top women's team. We have 4 strong women wrestlers. I love their gear. Usually, I enjoy a ladder match in a Wrestlemania, but I also enjoy a tag team match. And I thought this was pretty good. Was it worth a revisit for you?
No, it was not worth a revisit for me.
Wasn't.
No.
Even with an Asuka
Even with
showing?
an Asuka, like if you're a big fan of Asuka and you want to see her work, then yes, revisit. Or if you're a fan of Alexa Bliss and now that she's returned and Nikki Cross, go ahead. But as far as like, is this essential viewing for a newer fan who's starting their wrestling journey or older fan who's like trying to get more familiar, who's coming back? No, I do not.
Oh, Was it worth a revisit for me? I would actually say yes.
Okay.
So for fans of Asuka, like yourself, or women's tag team wrestling, it had solid pace, solid pacing. There was a little emotion to the wrestling tag team, despite the quiet atmosphere, which I will admit was a little jarring for me. You just realize how important the audience is with all of our jeers, cheers, our shouts, getting up, all of that adding to the chaos of a wrestling match. So, like you said, you had to watch this a few times. I would recommend this going out for this. I recommend you revisit. It's the first match that we have for this WrestleMania 36. Why not watch it? I'm a fan of Asuka. Love the gear. I had a good time with it.
Okay. And with that, that takes us to our next match. His name is Elias versus King Corbin. So this match goes
A
for
total of 9 minutes, no extra seconds.
yeah. So what did you think? Who were you rooting for? I know you're not a fan of Elias and you're not a fan of King Corbin. So
But why am I not a fan of Elias?
is it his lisp?
Oh no, it's definitely not lisp. I'm lisp friendly. I'm lisp friendly. I also may or may not have a lisp at times. So no, it's not because of the lisp. What else?
His hair?
No, not because of the hair.
Is it because he comes out and interrupts people and he says his name's Elias?
No, that's actually the fun part of his gimmick.
I give up.
Okay. I don't know what it is. You can't win them all, you know? So Elias, Mr. What's his I don't want to mispronounce his last name. Jeffrey Sculo? Or is it Shulo?
I don't know. I did not get his government name, but it might be Shulo.
I was actually impressed with King Corbin. He stands over 8 inches over Elias, and he's a little heavier at 285, where Elias is about 217. Elias is built from Pittsburgh. So, do you guys call it the pit?
If you do call it the pit, please feel free to drop a comment below and let us know what you call it the pit.
And if you haven't subscribed and you watched us this far, please subscribe. Let us know that you're interested in watching us revisiting these manias. But I think this match was a solid match. What do you think about it?
This match was kind of like your basic grudge match. So we have two guys here. Maybe it would have benefited more from having the crowd there because that way you can at least get more momentum build up there. But it's just like without a crowd, this pretty much just falls flat. We get like a sneak attack from Elias to start off this match with the guitar. So many guitars get broken.
That's why it's the guitar. It's all the singing.
It's all the singing.
It's all the singing instead of the wrestling. That's that's what it is.
That's the trigger.
That's the trigger. Yeah, I'm not here for the long bouts of singing. Even if you're enjoying a bathroom break or getting a beer or popcorn during this time, I am not a fan of that.
So, but
I just want to see more wrestling.
More wrestling like this, where Elias strikes out strong and with a neck breaker, but eventually Corbin takes control and Corbin hits his deep six, and they look like Corbin is gonna win, but Elias manages to do the sneaky schoolboy roll up pin in the win, and he gets his first ever WrestleMania win.
So, do you agree that this match is more about revenge than titles?
Yeah, that's how the storyline was built. There was a breakup there, and I just told you this was more based on the grudge match.
Did you just say that?
But I like that you still committed to asking me if this is more about being rival than titles.
That was supposed to be like the big highlight of this match.
Yes. This is the one where you're invested your whole time based on the storyline that you believe that King Corbin should get his comeuppance against the underdog.
So were there any highlights for me? There was nothing flashy during this match. We had some basic strikes, taunts, roll up win. Like you may have mentioned, Elias won via a roll up pin. Mostly filler.
Hmm.
And for me, this is more of like build, more work than any major action. And I cannot say that you should revisit this match unless you're a completionist and you need to do something from start to finish, which is what I do at times with things. Otherwise, I say skip it. It's skippable.
Yeah, and I'm on the same page. Whether you're a newer fan or a fan that's looking for something to rewatch, or an older fan that's just joining back, just skip this match. There's these guys are both not in the company, so it doesn't really matter to anything going forward. So
Ooh,
with that, we move on to match number 3.
the man.
The man, Becky Lynch versus the
Shayna Baszler?
Shayna Baszler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the submission magician. That's what I was looking for. That's
That's
her
fancy.
moniker. Yeah.
I've also been no.
And this is for this is for the
No.
Raw Women's Championship.
For 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes.
So what do you think about this?
Well, first of all, I'm sure you wanted to get a pic. You wanted me to get a picture of this, so I found it. So we get, and I believe Becky Lynch is the only one, as far as the women's, to get one of these nice little entrances. But Becky Lynch comes in driving a semi
Very impressive.
truck with her name airbrushed, or her name, her face is pretty much custom made onto this. What did you think about this entrance?
I think it's impressive. I think it's awesome, and it's a pretty cool entrance. I mean, you can see it right here in this photo. Everything from the man to her photo on the truck, and I'm a fan of a big rig. All decked out for those of you that don't know. I think it's a great entrance. Love this belt, love her gear, very big fan of her as well. And I was impressed. I liked it.
Good. So you're a fan of Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
You're a fan of Shayna Baszler, or was she the one you were booing in this match?
I was boo-ooing her.
You were booing her?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing personal, just I'm a fan of Becky.
All right. So what did you think about this match?
I thought it was pretty cool. I think they're very strong wrestlers, and she dominated. What was it? An elimination chamber?
Shayna Baszler did eliminate. She eliminated all of the participants of the elimination chamber the month or 2 months before to get her title shot at Becky Lynch.
Presenting her as that she was like an unstoppable monster, for this WrestleMania. So I'm sure people were looking forward to it. Were you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I was definitely looking forward to it, not only because of that, but also because you have this whole thing where she had a build up in NXT. So if you had followed her trajectory from NXT all the way to now being brought up to WrestleMania, but having that dominant little run in the Elimination Chamber, you're like, how is Becky Lynch gonna win? She's such another dominant force, and this was a very hard hitting, aggressive match, and this played to Shayna's quote quote gimmick, where she was a former mixed martial arts combat
respect to
athlete.
Those mixed martial art athletes.
So she did her best to win this title from her. They even take it outside where you had to say it, but Shayna gets her here in one of these arm bars type of thing. But eventually, all things, Becky is able to muster up some courage and keep going and motivation, and then she ends up also rolling her up and getting into a pin and a win situation.
And for those noobs that are out there like me, just kind of getting into WrestleMania, Becky Lynch actually held the title for a year.
Right. This is after she had won the previous WrestleMania 35, where the women had main evented. She had won the SmackDown and the Raw Women's title away from Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey.
So this match was full of some stiff strikes, counters, like you said, that roll up, Do you think it was echoing Bret Hart versus Piper from WrestleMania? What was it?
That would have been WrestleMania 11 or
Eight?
8. Yeah, or
Eight.
8. Yeah.
WrestleMania 8.
Yep. So that's when, but it might have, if it had like something similar to that storyline,
Mhm.
because you always had Roddy Piper saying that he grew up with Brett, like not like knowing of Brett because Brett's
Mhm.
younger, but he trained in the dungeon, so he had that type of camaraderie with him.
Right.
These ladies, even though they were probably mixed together in NXT,
Mhm.
they're in NXT in different times.
Ooh.
So I could see where someone might have made that comparison as far as like storyline wise,
Right.
where someone would say that the go home, the ending is the same, but this is completely different than that, in my opinion, because Bret Hart wasn't wasn't going to be dominated by Roddy Piper the way Shayna Baszler was dominating Becky Lynch, and she managed to just get away with the scrape of like just doing the roll up
Right.
and honing in all of her instincts, all of those hours in the ring and all of those matches where she's like, this, what's my only way to win? Okay, she'll never see the schoolboy roll up pin coming.
Right.
And they don't have happening storyline wise, character wise, things like that.
Good wrap up. So the winner of this match was Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch retains, and addendum to this, we find out, or she finds out later on, that she is expecting. So she has to relinquish her belt.
This is her final WrestleMania appearance before her pregnancy.
That's correct.
So did this mark the end of the man era?
It marked the end of the man era until she returns back from, giving birth and having her time off.
So do you think this was worth a revisit?
It would not say that it's worth a revisit, mainly because it's such a short match and then it feels like it never got anything started. So I'm not sure if maybe there were hints or maybe somebody knew that Becky was expecting, and because it seems like even though they do have some hard hitting hits, it still seems like they play it safe. So if she wasn't expecting, they could have gone a little bit longer. Like if this would have had like another 6-8 minutes, then you could have had lots of more acts, I guess you could say, where Shayna starts off strong, Becky manages to get a few hits in, but Shayna still keeps up the pressure. We get a couple of near falls, and then Becky starts a comeback, and it makes it more meaningful. Where she's still trying to rally, but then the only way after like 2 or 3 rallies have failed,
right?
The only way she's able to win is because of the roll up.
Right. Well, like you said, this is a pass for you, not a revisit. This is not a revisit for me. Maybe a revisit for you, since excuse me, the storyline pays off fans and it shows some of Baszler's dominance in the ring. So it was not a revisit for both of us, but like we said, if you're a fan of Becky the Man Lynch or Baszler, take a revisit.
Yeah, and with that takes us to the next match number 5 of night 1. Remember, guys, night 1.
It's just night 1.
Yeah, we have Daniel Bryan, accompanied by Drew Gulak, versus Sami Zayn, who's accompanied by Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. And this match goes for 9 minutes and 20 seconds for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
Maria, you are a fan of Daniel Bryan.
I am.
Are you a fan of Sami Zayn?
I'm kind of a fan of Sami Zayn, who's still wrestling as part of WWE today.
You're a fan of the honorary Uce?
Yeah, he's part of the Bloodline right now, for those who are currently watching. And for those that may not be familiar with him. So Zayn's title reign, do you think it annoyed Bryan? I thought he was working on restoring honor to the IC title. What do you think?
I think storyline wise it annoyed him, but these guys have a lot of history together, coming up in indies, in particular the Ring of Honor. So I'm sure there was lots of respect. when it came to them behind the scenes. But storyline wise, that's how it got presented.
So, what do you think about Zayn? Do you think he's reinvented himself as a top heel character?
And this was my favorite run of Sami Zayn. We normally get like his best friend from Canada, Kevin Owens, always having these heel runs. But
We
it's
just saw Kevin Owens last night when we were watching
Friday Night SmackDown.
Friday Night SmackDown. I can't keep up sometimes. There's so much wrestling. So I was sad to see KO Kevin Owens is not going to be a part of this WrestleMania 40, right? 41. Spoiler if you guys did not watch SmackDown, but I'm sure you heard it or read it on Twitter. Yeah, I called it Twitter. Or maybe Blue Sky or something like that.
Yeah, he has some neck issues and he needs to take some time off. So our best wishes to a speedy and full recovery for Kevin Owens. May he Owens fight his way back into the ring.
Yeah, I hope so.
So this, like I was getting back to, Sami Zayn didn't have that many heel runs, but this was pretty much one of the heel runs. If you're new to the podcast, I'm a very big fan of heels. As I've grown up and I guess matured in watching wrestling.
I'm a big fan of heels too, wearing them, walking in them, buying them. The show.
Yeah.
Heels.
Good call. But yeah, I this was like, it clearly told the story of, Sami Zayn. He's playing the cowardly heel who's trying to stay away from the guy who more than likely would beat them if they were one-on-one. Daniel Bryan is a very technical wrestler, and at this point in time, he's he's playing the good fair fight type of thing. So I thought this match was one of these things, because this goes for 9 minutes 20 seconds.
Okay.
I'm sure this match also would have benefited from people in the crowd having the yes movement, having all the yes behind Sami Zayn. And
I thought the first night was a little rough on some of these without the crowd because it was so jarring, and I guess we already have that expectation of the crowd being so interested and like being part of the match. So yeah. Well, would it be a revisit for you?
No, as far as this match, I was going to get to it. Like, this match probably could have benefited from like a crowd helping build the momentum for that, and I feel that with this it could have also benefited from maybe like 5 or 6 more minutes. You get some of the distractions here, like that you get for like a heel. You get Shinsuke getting himself involved, and then you also get Drew Gulak trying to even the odds here for Daniel Bryan by taking out Shinsuke and Cesaro there. But eventually, as a cowardly heel, or like what Sami Zayn is playing, he takes advantages of an over aggressive Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan's setting up himself onto the top of the ropes, he manages to hit him with one of those Haluma kicks, and he gets the pin and the win, and retains his Intercontinental Championship, which is how we're setting up and how this is cementing more of Sami Zayn's heel run.
Okay. Yeah, so there's some character work. We have some storytelling. As you mentioned, I think the crowd would have added to this overall match. It's not a revisit for me, and it's not a revisit for you, even though you're a big fan of quite a few of these wrestlers.
I'm a fan of Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson,
too, right?
And Shinsuke and Cesaro, and I'm not sure what they're doing with Shinsuke. Shinsuke is the only one that's still in here besides Sami Zayn that's still in the company.
Right.
They have given Shinsuke like this whole like Ronin type of Darth, like Star Wars, like a Darth look. They had put like black eye makeup on him and trying to make him like very menacing.
How's that working out for him?
Well, he lost his title back to LA Knight, so it wasn't going very good. But I thought they really could have done something there, and I'm not sure if they probably killed it because I believe they're saying his contract's up.
Oh, okay.
So who knows if he's going to resign with them or not.
Yikes.
And with that...
Well, That takes us to match number 6. John Morrison versus a fave of mine, Kofi Kingston, versus a fave of ours, Jimmy Uso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this match goes for
a total of 18 minutes and 30 seconds for SmackDown Tag Titles Triple Threat Ladder Match.
Yeah, and this match, I'm not sure if you're wondering, because this is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, right?
Right.
Where are the other 3 guys? Well, to answer your question, if that's something that you had, the Miz was in quarantine. He had come up, but they had never confirmed that it was COVID.
Miz
and
fortunate.
the Miz is a tag team with John Morrison.
He missed the fun.
Yeah, he missed all the fun, and same thing with Jay, and it was just COVID protocols, and that's how we ended up getting this 3-way instead of a traditional like 6 people in the ring for a ladder match.
That makes sense. So Morrison's wrestling style is a little bit more parkour based, a little acrobatic. So we saw him do some flips, which I thought was pretty cool. Of course, Kofi is such a strong wrestler, such a good wrestler, big fan. And how can we not be a fan of Uso? He's definitely fast-paced wrestling. He's good on those strikes, and I look forward to seeing them wrestle. But let's talk about the match.
Yeah. So, what do you have? We got all of these guys facing off. Do you have any favorite spots or anything that you want to talk about? Because I could talk about this match, even though this match was for 18 minutes and 30 seconds. I feel like this match was like nonstop. It was a very creative, fast-paced battle and had a lot of high-risk moves.
We get a tightrope walk, springboards.
Yeah, we have a a dive from the ladder there from Kofi onto John Morrison. We had a twisting splash and a Spanish fly from John Morrison. On one of the spots that I was the action moved so fast I wasn't able to get pictures or find anything. Kingston also had some good spots where he had a springboard hurricanrana, a flying double stomp, and this is one of his suicide dives. And Jimmy Uso, not to be out of the action, also had some very good delivering some of his Uso splashes and super kicks, especially when John Morrison was like diving off of the top rope, and he timed it perfectly, and he kicked John Morrison and stopped him dead in his tracks. So those were some pretty cool ones. But this match ends with all of these guys battling on top of the ladders, and Jimmy headbutts Kofi. Jimmy and Kofi both headbutt John Morrison, but while they're all reaching up there, John Morrison, I guess, was able to unlatch the belts.
Yeah.
And he falls down with the titles, leaving Jimmy and Kofi staring down at John Morrison like, what happened?
So we have, like you said, it went from like a triple, like, what was it called? I
guess you could say like a 6-man tag, a 6-man ladder match for the tag titles, you could say. So
I think that we had these 3 remaining. The booking was good for this match. Worth a revisit, yes, for me. I thought it was one of the best matches of night 1, and I really enjoy all 3 of these guys wrestling. We have some strong wrestlers here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that this was I guess you could say it was adrenaline rush from start to finish.
You're filled with adrenaline?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you were, but this kept my attention. Like I said, like 18 minutes, it had my attention. It doesn't seem like it seems to drag at any time there, because there's always some type of high spot or something going on there.
It was like drinking a Monster drink.
Yeah. For newer fans, if this is your first introduction to wrestling, first of all, if you're watching this and you're looking for us to give you recommendations, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, or please feel free to like, subscribe, share with anyone.
These are the best recommendations on the internet. They're okay. No.
But as you can see, we try our best, and break these down and see and tell you why you should watch it. Like
Yeah.
this is a very wild, high energy spectacle. All of these guys are very seasoned veterans in ladder matches. Not only Kofi, but also Jimmy Uso and
Is
especially John
still
Morrison.
wrestling? I
John
can't
Morrison
remember.
is still wrestling.
Is he
All of these
he's still
guys
part
are
of the
still
WWE?
wrestling. No, John Morrison is working D&Ds. He's working at AEW. He's known as Johnny TV, and sometimes you'll see him in AAA, Mexican wrestling promotion. So,
go on, tell me more.
well, that's about it. Besides my other recommendation, if you're a longtime fan, also I recommend that you watch this. If you have not done so, or if you're looking to kill 18, 19 minutes, it's a fun ladder match, and it shows you, even though this is the COVID era, this shows you how you can still pull off a interesting ladder match that still reaches out to the audiences that are watching at home and keep their attention.
Yeah. So with that, we are going to bring you to one of the most talked about wrestling matches of Wrestlemania 36.
What match is that?
Well, I guess I'm missing one because I forget. This is a good match too, though. So let's talk about this one.
Yeah, the next match on the card, while Maria fixes her notes, is Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins.
I'm gonna have to freestyle this one.
This is before he becomes what is this? What is he now? Seth freaking Rollins, or now they took the freaking away. So right now he's the Messiah. He's the Monday Night Messiah. Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens.
KO.
Yeah, this match also goes for 17 minutes and 20 seconds, but it's not just one match because Seth Rollins gets himself disqualified about 6-7 minutes into this match.
Really?
Yeah, because he uses the bell, and Kevin Owens calls him out and calls him a coward and tells him to come back to wrestle him. So we get another match restarted that ends up being no DQ.
Oh, that's the way to do it. I will say I remember this match from night one of WrestleMania 36 because it was really good. And it was really good despite not having an audience. That's how good the wrestling was. Yeah. So this is a revisit for me because the wrestling was really intense, really good. And like you said, here we are, 2025? I don't know, I had to look at the date, but here we are.
March 6th, 2025.
March 6th, 2025.
5 years later.
And both of these wrestlers are still top wrestlers in WWE. Fan of them both. Big fan of Kevin. We just talked about him a few seconds ago. We hope he heals. I thought he was going to be a part of this WrestleMania 40. But what did you think about the match?
All right, I still have my notes here, so this is what I have it here is what started as a solid grunt match evolved into I guess something memorable. As at this point, I think until WrestleMania 38, Kevin Owens has not had normally when you think about these superstars that have been here for 5, 6, 10 years,
right?
They have a WrestleMania moment. Like Kofi, going back to this last match,
right?
He had his WrestleMania moment. Remember WrestleMania 34, Kofi Mania runs wild.
That was really good.
Yeah. So Seth Rollins, right now, WrestleMania 31, this heist of the century, where he cashes in his Money in the Bank title and runs down and screws Roman Reigns out of his match with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So I think this is the first time where you could say that Kevin Owens had his WrestleMania moment. So let's get into this here because the match starts off. Seth Rollins is wearing all white. I believe he mentions that he did not want to wear all white because even though he's the Messiah, Vince convinced him that he has to wear all white because of that particular thing.
Wasn't it your favorite celebrity wrestler was also wearing all white? I can't think of her name. Menounos?
Maria Menounos is not my favorite celebrity wrestler. That is your favorite celebrity wrestler. So
love you, Maria. If you're listening and watching this right now, I'm a big fan of you.
Yeah. So it thought that this match delivered a very hard-hitting contest with great storytelling. Uh, and they had some really great spots. You could tell that these guys were really selling the personal grudge match that they had, and it was just like an all out brawl.
Well, they brawled all over.
They did. They brawled on the side of
They
the
leapt
ring.
off of the Wrestlemania sign.
Yeah, I'm about to get to that.
Oh.
They did it. They had this Falcon Arrow. Believe is this move that's done on the apron. And here's the high spot. Kevin Owens WrestleMania moment. He climbs the set and delivers a very brutal elbow drop to Seth Rollins down below, who is going through the table, the announcer's table.
Yeah.
So after that, Kevin Owens drags Seth Rollins back into the ring, continues a little bit of beatdown before he gives him the stunner, and it's a 1-2-3 pin in the win for Kevin Owens. And you've already made your assessment that this match should be a rewatch.
Yeah. I mean, Owens is a brawler, a talker. He's a fan favorite. Yeah. And like you said, Rollins is the Monday Night Messiah, manipulator, the technician. So for me, this was absolutely worth the revisits. To me, this WrestleMania was going a little slow, little hard to watch without the audience, but this needed no audience. It was just a really good match that I cannot recommend enough to you. So revisit.
Yeah, and as for me, for a newer fan, if you haven't watched this match, yeah, I highly recommend that you go out and watch this so you can go ahead and connect with these two and the story. You'll see Kevin Owens as a scrappy, determined underdog who refuses to lose, just like how we had with the previous matches as well. Those scrappy underdog story modes that we had with like Daniel Bryan and things like that. So you get that one from Kevin Owens. You also will be able to get that hate that that you get from like Seth Rollins, who's coming out to you, is bold enough to say that he's the Monday Night Messiah. He's here to save people who watch Monday Night Raw from, I guess, mediocrity of wrestling that's out there. So yeah, I thought that whether you're a newer fan or if you're looking to watch something because it's been a long time and WrestleMania is about another 10 days away or so, or 12 days away.
Mm-hmm. So it's coming.
Yeah. So if you need something to watch and you're sad that Kevin Owens isn't there, go ahead and revisit this match too.
That's true. That's a good take.
Yeah. And with this leads us to our next match. Braun Strowman versus Bill Goldberg. And this match is for the WWE Universal Championship, which is on the SmackDown brand, and goes for 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Maria, you are a fan of Bill Goldberg?
Question mark?
Yeah, because I really haven't heard you say anything.
I don't
know. You're a fan of Bill Goldberg. I can't imagine that you're also a fan of Braun Strowman.
I don't have a problem with him. I'm a fan of his wrestling. He's more of a brawler. But you tell me, how long was he wrestling? And when I think of Goldberg, do you think of him as like that big name of WWE wrestling?
No, when you think about Bill Goldberg, for you newer wrestlers
shade
out there, or not wrestlers, but viewers out there that have not watched it. Yeah, if you're wrestling and you want to come out here and talk with us and maybe set me straight on what I'm thinking in any of these matches, I'd like to be
wrestle.
Yeah. Please feel free to reach out to us. But yeah, because we've only had one wrestler on here. Thank you very much to the Zombie King from Four Sides of the Ring for joining us. But shout out to you guys. But this match, when you think about Bill Goldberg, it's more like associated with WCW. He had that incredible run where he was booked as being undefeated until he lost to Kevin Nash, being cattle prodded and having his title taken away. So after that, I mean, people were still hot for Goldberg, and for some reason they still wanted him to come back. But he had never had one of these long matches, which, as you can see here, is another short match. So
He reminds me a little bit of Sergeant Slaughter.
does
The
he?
face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So with this short high impact slugfest, do you have anyone that you were rooting for?
Goldberg
Okay.
is I think it's an obvious selection for me.
Yeah, look at these the differences as far as not only girth but also in height and also in beard wise. Because look at that full beard that Braun Strowman is rocking there compared to Goldberg's. But Bill Goldberg is, no slouch, and he takes it right to Braun Strowman by hitting him out with a spear. And after a flurry of spears, you know, Goldberg tries for the jackhammer, but Strowman reverses his. He just lets his body weight fall on Bill Goldberg, flattens him, and hits him with like 4 running power slams.
Wow.
To win his first ever Universal Championship over Bill Goldberg.
Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
Still wrestling?
Braun Strowman is still wrestling. Yes, he was just on SmackDown. They were going to have a number 1 contenders match between him and I forgot who else. Oh, Jacob Fatu.
Okay.
The Samoan werewolf for the
How's
US
his cousin
title.
doing, the one that broke his ankle?
Oh, we have no idea how. There's not his cousin, but I'm sure Bronson Reed is still on the mend and recovering from his broken elbow from that splash that he took at Survivor Series from top of the cage. So
okay. So is this a revisit for you?
No, this is not a revisit.
Not a memorable moment.
No, unless you're like a fan of Braun Strowman and want to see where he began and why he was gifted this title.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to give you a little bit more information, but before COVID happened, this match was initially supposed to be Bill Goldberg versus Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the COVID pandemic and Roman Reigns is still trying to work through his leukemia and things like that, he opted out. And many wrestlers opted out from continuing to work through the pandemic.
Serious times, guys.
So,
yep.
With this one, so that this match could have gone different, and this is one of the things where you have to always look where to pivot, look who's ready to step up, and that's why you had to build these guys up. Because if it had been like Braun Goldberg versus so and so, then you wouldn't have been excited. But people had been excited about Braun Strowman. They had built him up of the monster among men, and he gets his title shot, his time to run with the football.
So not a revisit for you, not a revisit for me. They put in the work, of course, but it was not a memorable WrestleMania moment for me for 36.
Right.
Yep.
And with that, we finally get to your notes of AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. The first cinematic match in a WrestleMania event.
I'm doing a drum roll.
For 19 minutes, and I don't have any seconds, so maybe it finished 19 minutes flat. So this was a no rules, no DQs. It was kind of like you also had to bury him alive type of thing. Those were the match.
Did this feel like the main event of WrestleMania 36?
Sure. I mean, it's Undertaker's last match, and he's.
What do you mean that Undertaker's last match was not with? Look at that face.
But go ahead. Undertaker's last match.
I'm having a brain fart on his name right now. He did the final match for WrestleMania 2.
WrestleMania 2.
I mean, night 2.
Oh, that when he interfered into WrestleMania 40 with The Rock?
No. What's his name? It's the main event for this WrestleMania 36.
36.
This one that we're watching.
Okay.
He's part of night 2, part of the main event. What's
Drew McIntyre versus
Hold on. I'm looking it up.
Okay. While you're looking that up, we'll go ahead and get into the shots of the Boneyard. So we had this entrance from AJ Styles, and it's a hearse bringing in a funeral procession, and here comes the casket, and you think that it's gonna be the Undertaker, but guess what? It's not. It's AJ Styles coming in and mocking the Undertaker. The Undertaker comes in on a motorcycle because he's also doing a callback to his American Badass gimmick that he had back in the mid 2000s. So these guys, like we mentioned, this is unlike any other match that we've had up to this date. So from when we could get here, they pretty much just fought anywhere. AJ was cocky and disrespectful throughout the whole feud, and it also continued into this match, bringing in the Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool, into uh, the foray of the shit talking that he did, but also taking and poking fun of his age.
Well, I like the height difference. So Undertaker is 6'10", AJ is 5'11". Undertaker is tall, but you can see that he's having some issues walking.
The Undertaker,
So
yeah.
that was a little painful for me to see. And like you said, we see that AJ is mocking his legacy, his wife, and he returns with the American badass persona that some of you love, some of you hate. And what I do like is that when I was watching and reading about this, I saw that when people were watching WrestleMania during COVID, it just brought them back to a little bit of normalcy watching this match. So this match was not in a ring. It was in this graveyard, and I thought it was pretty cool for what it was.
Yeah, I guess it lended more to, how when we do our movie reviews, or when people do movie reviews, in general, they're always like, this is good as a movie, but it would be better if it was like a TV series.
Okay.
So the way I look at this match, it's like normally this is the Undertaker's career here. And normally a regular match would probably do, and this is probably how Vince was thinking it.
I was gonna say, wasn't his final match with Brock Lesnar?
In a ring,
Yeah.
more than likely, yeah. But if you count the Saudi shows, then we have to give the match that he has as the Brothers of Destruction with his brother Kane versus Triple H and HBK as his last official match in the ring, which is a very terrible match. Do not go out and look for that match. If you're a fan of The Undertaker, Kane, HBK, or Triple H.
That probably would have been more appropriate to end his, what was it?
20, if they had had a good actual outing, that would probably
20 match streak. Yeah. So was this a revisit for you?
It's tough. Like, it's not a match, so it's hard for you to be like, yes, rewatch this match, because like I was getting to, it's this is one of the things where I think Vince felt like there's no match that he could do with AJ Styles that would be like some type of honor or something like for the Undertaker to put him and say like a thank you for him for all of these years, putting his streak on the line not once but twice, with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. So they're like, why don't we just have you do a cinematic so you can have moments like this where all of these druids show up to help. Oh wait, but they all look like the Ghostface killer from Scream.
Your favorite,
so
the druid.
Yeah. So it had these things where it kind of made Undertaker look like a badass. And eventually AJ Styles does end up getting buried alive and loses to the Undertaker. So it was good to see him have his last ride and his last match, quote unquote. So getting back to the original point here, would I recommend this? No.
Mhm.
Unless you're like a fan of The Undertaker and you haven't watched this match and you want to watch it, and if you're a completionist, to see The Undertaker's last match. Other than that, I can really say that it's not really worth rewatching as a WrestleMania event
Ooh.
type of thing.
Okay, well, that's a take from you as a seasoned veteran. Was it worth a revisit for me? New wrestling fan coming in. At first, when I watched this, I thought that I was like, is this match a little boring? Is this match a little long? But then I took a step back to take a look at what it was. And like you said, it's his final match, kind of wrapping this up for him, The Undertaker. And I would say 100% yes. Revisit it. This was during the pandemic, COVID era times. It was more of a cinematic performance than an actual wrestling match. But it's part of WWE history. It was a little emotional, a little creative, definitely unforgettable, which is what you want in a WrestleMania. You want those unforgettable moments, which is why I'd say revisit this match. And that's what I have.
And with that, that ends night one.
Night one. We're on to night two.
We're
So
here
if
for
you've been with
night
us
two.
so far this long, we definitely appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we still have 8 more matches to go. Don't
I have the momentum. I'm here. I'm
don't
ready.
don't flip the channel. Don't look for anything else because we're gonna get through this. And if you
If we got
guys,
through this, you can get through this.
yeah, if you guys are watching and do not want us to break down 2 nights in one episode, please feel free to reach out and let us know.
That makes sense.
So the next match we have is the winner of the Royal Rumble, Charlotte Flair. And normally we have like the winner of the Royal Rumble challenging for one of the main titles,
Right.
like the SmackDown title or the Raw title. But this year they went a little bit off script, and we had Charlotte Flair challenging Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. And this match goes for 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Maria, you are a fan of Charlotte?
I am a big fan of Charlotte. Also, Rhea Ripley is still very surprised because I'm more familiar with who she looks like now compared to then. So I had to look her up and look up her older photos of her original wrestling style. So I was very surprised. So this match is 20 minutes, 30 seconds. Like you said, Rhea Ripley, 5'7", and Charlotte 5'10", so they're both about the same height.
Give or take a few inches. Yes, that's correct.
So Charlotte chose to challenge Ripley after winning the 2020 Royal Rumble, right?
Yes.
Okay, so was she part of NXT?
Charlotte was part of NXT, and her, just like Becky, Sasha Banks, and Bailey, are known as the four horsewomen, who pretty much brought more of a competitive, more storytelling, more gimmicks, more push the women's wrestling a little bit more forward. Not only in NXT, but once they all made their debut into the big brands like SmackDown and Raw.
I am a big fan of both of these wrestlers. More Charlotte. They're very strong wrestlers. I like their technical skills both, and both of them have big pops, and I guess they're like a big deal in 2025 if you're still watching WWE wrestling today. So they're both pretty aggressive. They have good counters, and we get a riptide by Flair, which is pretty impressive. Also, we excuse me, we have her lock Rhea into a figure eight, which is pretty cool too. So we have a lot of good spots, a lot of good moves during this match. Would you recommend it though?
Me, I felt like this is a very hard-hitting match. This pretty much work around the psychology of Charlotte working on Rhea Ripley's leg, so Rhea can go ahead and work on that underdog. Um, Even though she's a champion and she's the one that's defending her belts,
So you're saying good ring psychology.
there's good ring psychology that's being built here. Yes, good call.
Thank
Good ring
you.
psychology. So we have that. There's some great storytelling going around there. There's a lot of things that I liked here, especially like when Rhea Ripley gets Charlotte put into this elevated clover leaf. That was a very good spot here. But like you said, eventually this match ends with Charlotte winning the NXT title for the second time in her career.
So you thought the win was appropriate?
I thought the win was not appropriate because this also ends up happening. This ends up putting Rhea Ripley back down, just like it did with Asuka when Asuka challenged her at WrestleMania 34. She also came up with some great hype, just like Rhea Ripley is. But her losing this match, this long match, which I felt was a little bit too long. This match could have probably had like 3 or 4 minutes taken out of it and still had that finale. But this ends up setting her back, her push, because you have Charlotte submitting Rhea Ripley. No cheating, no nothing or anything like that. So it's a clean one for Charlotte. So it makes Charlotte look strong, but it also makes Rhea Ripley look weak, type of thing.
Good take on that.
So as far as me, would I recommend it? If you're a newer fan and you're getting into wrestling and you want to see Rhea Ripley's beginning and you don't want to go through the whole NXT thing, then maybe take a look at that. Or if you're a big Charlotte fan, is it worth a revisit for a fan like me? No, because it just like reminds you of the strong booking that Charlotte has and how even though she's probably like the safe bet and where the money's at, it has hindered the careers of many women along the way, like Asuka and Rhea Ripley.
Wow, that's a really good take on that I wasn't aware of. So that's very, thank you for sharing that. Was it worth a revisit for me as someone new to watching wrestling without that background information? I'd say it was worth a revisit. It was one of the best matches of WrestleMania 36, night 2. Again, both very strong wrestlers, so I'd say watch it.
Yeah. And with that, we go to the next match on the card. Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. This is for no titles. This is just a regular match.
7 minutes and 20 seconds.
Bobby Lashley is accompanied by Lana, who was the valet of Rusev. So
every time I think of Bobby Lashley, I always think of eyelashes just because of the last name. That's where my brain goes.
Yeah, so this match, like you mentioned, goes 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Do you have any thoughts about whether you're a fan of Aleister Black or Bobby Lashley?
Bobby Lashley.
Okay.
He is 6'3" and Aleister is 6'1", so height appropriate. Also Bobby Lashley, he's a powerhouse. And he also was a former ECW and Intercontinental Champion.
He's also a veteran. He's also of the Army, of the armed forces, in particular the Army,
which is awesome. So Bobby Lashley is no slouch. Also Aleister, he hails from Amsterdam.
Yes, he does.
So he's more of a striker. He's also one of those martial arts,
mixed martial
artists. And according to some people, he might have a mysterious aura about him, which I also have a mysterious aura about me.
That's true. We don't know where that aura came from. It is very mysterious. So, what do you think? Do you like this match? Would you recommend this match? Do you have anything that sticks out from this match?
Like you said, there's no major build on this match, right? This match is more about showcasing two pretty dominant wrestlers, dominant forces, and also I think we were dealing with the storyline had some tension with this marriage to Lana.
Yeah.
as part of the
This
storyline.
quote unquote marriage, because it's a kayfabe. For those joining us, it's not a real marriage. It's just a storyline marriage because she was in actuality still married to Miro, who is Rusev.
So then we also have a mistimed spear by Alana as well, right?
Well, it's not a mistimed spear. So let's get into this. So Bobby Lashley is pretty much dominating this match. He's
Right.
beating down Aleister Black. Aleister is still trying to build through it, make a comeback. And then while we're getting towards the end of the match, Lana, who has not given any type of advice all up until this point, jumps onto the apron and tells Bobby Lashley not to beat him like that, but to beat him by giving him a spear.
Wow.
Bobby Lashley sits back and waits for Aleister Black to get up so he can spear him. And while Bobby Lashley is running to spear him, Aleister Black does his little. It's kind of like a spin, like a very high spin kick, and he kicks Bobby Lashley. It's called Black Mass. He lands Black Mass. It's a 1-2-3 pin in the win for Aleister Black.
So, is this worth a revisit to you?
No, I would not say it's a revisit for anyone except for anyone that wants to get familiar with
Bobby
Aleister
Lashley?
Black, because Bobby Lashley is now in AEW. He still has his name as Bobby Lashley. He's joined by the gold standard Shelton Benjamin and Montavious something Porter. I forget what the V
I can't even
stands
see.
for, but his MVP. He's their valet. He's their mouthpiece. He's their mouthpiece. He's their coach.
Wow.
But they're there in AEW. They have a match later today in Dynasty. So a tag match versus the big Redwood and the Broughton Apple over there in AEW Dynasty. So that this match, that's the only way I'd recommend it if you want to get some any type of background on Bobby Lashley. If you're an AEW fan, or if you're returning back, Aleister Black is rumored to be returning. So if you want to catch him, because this is pretty much a push for him. He's getting a clean win, or even though it's a distraction, he's still getting a clean win over Bobby Lashley, who, as Maria mentioned, has held many championships and has been pushed prominently by Vince over the years.
2021, right?
Yeah. So anything else? If you're not watching for any of those two things, then yeah, go ahead and skip this match.
Yeah, I'd say, was it worth a revisit? Maybe. If you're a fan of Bobby Lashley, for me, and if you're a fan of a quick, decisive win, then this match is for you. Otherwise, we say skip it. And with that, we're going into
match number 3 of night 2
with one of your faves.
Otis.
One of my faves. I actually like both of these wrestlers in different ways for their different characters. And I'm still very upset with myself that I did not get to meet Dolph Ziggler when we saw him at WrestleCon
last year
in 2024.
So this match has Otis, who was kind of the storyline that we get. He has puppy love, I guess you could say, for Mandy
Deville,
Mandy Rose. Yes, give it a couple of chances. But Mandy Rose, who's pictured here with Dolph Ziggler, and it all came, one of these things where it turns out Sonya Deville was the one who ended up not wanting to have Mandy Rose be with Otis and sending those text messages and things like that. Mandy Rose is upset, so she splits from her friend, but they still got to have this match. So
Otis, much like the Elevator brand, is chonky, but he is a fierce wrestler, and I'm a big fan of his wrestling. He's wrestling today in WWE.
He still is
like
wrestling.
To see his
Caterpillar.
The man can move.
Yeah.
It's a big man.
So with this match...
Wait, he's 5'10", and he's a little over 330 pounds.
Mm-hmm. He's built from...
His wrestling style is a little comedic. I'm a fan of that kind of wrestler. And he's also like one of those bruiser kind of wrestlers as well. So lovable, big man. You're also.
Thank you.
And then we have Dolph Ziggler, who's also pretty tall at 6 foot, and he's about 218, so a difference in weight. And he's pretty athletic, cocky heel type. So in this match, I am a fan of a heel, and he is a multi-time intercontinental champion. So I was looking forward to this match.
And were you disappointed? Did you make a choice?
I was
Okay.
not disappointed with this match. I would recommend this match to you, and it was a good addition to night 2 of WrestleMania 36 for me.
Okay. As for me, this match we had Dolph Ziggler being the early aggressor and dominating and taking it to Otis. Otis is pretty much trying to rally, but with the interference with Sonya Deville, it's kind of hard for him to go ahead and catch a break. That is until Mandy Rose comes out. She's had enough of Dolph and Sonya Deville taking it advantage and also getting the upper hand on Otis. She gets in the ring. She kicks Dolph Ziggler in the family jewels. Dolph Ziggler takes the caterpillar elbow from Otis, and Mandy Rose live happily ever after for night 2 as Otis takes Mandy Rose into his arms and carries her away.
Wow, what a story.
Now, as for my recommendation, you heard Maria recommend it. She recommends that you rewatch it. I recommend that if you are a fan of the telenovelas, the soap operas, the stories, this was probably the story to be invested in. So if you're a newer fan, if you're a fan of Otis, if you miss Mandy Rose because she's no longer wrestling and she no longer plans to wrestle,
no,
she is making a killing on OnlyFans, from what I hear. This match was more about the angle itself. It wasn't anything about the actual match that went inside the ring. It was all about the outside of the ring. And if you're interested in things like that, please do yourself a favor and rewatch it. If not, we can go ahead and skip on to the next match.
Wait, I'm gonna say the story didn't do a lot for me, but the wrestling was great. So that's why it was a revisit for me.
Okay.
They're a lot of fun in the ring, and it's nice to have the scary and the tough and the crazy, but it's also nice to have a little fun during wrestling.
Yeah.
So this is a good one.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I'm recommending it, just because it's a good break, especially from this type of WrestleMania where you don't have an audience. Just to have, I guess you could call this like a palate cleanser.
It was a palate cleanser.
So we've had all this serious stuff, and here you have like a little bit of camp, a little bit like soap opera-ish, telenovela, something to make you forget about your worries for about 8 minutes.
Yes. But if you like your fierce competitive wrestling, this next match is a match for you.
The last man standing match between Edge making his return after 9 years on the shelf. He returned at the Royal Rumble of 2020 as a surprise entrant, and he still had to wrestle because he chose to. And we get this feud with him and Randy Orton. And this match goes for
36 minutes and 35 seconds, which I thought was very, very long. And I am a fan of the Viper.
Yeah. So
I am a fan of the Legend Killer. I am a fan of Randy Orton. If you are not familiar with any of those nicknames. No. So was this a revisit for you? Because this was very, very long.
I'm going to tell you.
They're both the same height, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this match, let me see what I have here. This match had great storytelling as far as a revenge tale type of thing.
Right.
There was some great emotional acting from Edge, especially at the end where he has to pretty much win this on top of a trailer.
Yep.
Because this match went everywhere, and this is the end. Sorry about the previous film, but previous picture, but this is after Edge hits Randy Orton with the concerto on top of a trailer. But this match starts off, Randy Orton attacks Edge He's dressed in all black as camera guy. Edge is waiting for Randy Orton to come down because his music's playing. Randy doesn't show up. Randy takes the camera off his shoulder, jumps in the ring, and RKO's Edge to start this match. So right away we got Randy Orton doing what he does best, being a scumbag and being the guy, being the aggressor, being the apex predator. And now it doesn't stop there. They take it to the gym. They wanted to get some reps in.
He's very lovable on Instagram though.
And this match goes everywhere. There's just one spot that I couldn't find a picture of, but they're in a meeting room, and Randy Orton's laying on top of a meeting table,
that was a table.
Probably. And for some reason, there's this mesh aluminum fence built onto the ceiling. And what does Edge do? He starts climbing.
Aesthetics.
They start climbing. He starts climbing that cage, and he manages to drop a little bit of an elbow on him. I thought that was a very good, creative way of getting that moving.
It was.
But this is just way too long. Like you mentioned,
way too long.
It's 36 minutes. It feels like it drags, and it's mainly because I feel like if this had an audience, maybe it would have been okay to have this match be 36 minutes. But without having an audience, without having a crowd, and you're just out there performing, I think if you would cut maybe 10, 12 minutes, that probably would have gone a little bit better. And
I agree with
probably
you.
Be one of these matches that into it
they gave us everything. So we had weights, like you said, a weight room. We saw the photo, trucks, ladders, conference rooms. We saw them wrestling over a period of 36 minutes. They could have cut this match in half. It started to make it a little painful to watch. And then the finale was kind of lackluster. It was not that exciting. I'm like, that's the win?
Yeah.
It was like, what?
Yeah.
So is this a revisit for you?
It is not a revisit for me.
Except for that one spot.
The only way that I will recommend that you revisit this match is if you watch the match that they have at Backlash. They have another match to settle the score, and that one, this in the timeline of 2020, where we're currently reviewing this match, Backlash 2020. Rewatch that one. That one is also kind of filmed in cinematics, but that one's shorter, and I feel it does a better payoff.
Okay. So with that, this is not a revisit for us. I would say, and I would recommend that you watch two spots. Maybe the scene where they're in the weight room and Randy tells the ref to count.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Which is fun. He's like, "Do you know how to count? Start counting," or what?
Randy hits Edge with I think with a weight, quote unquote, and Edge is laying there on the floor, and the ref's just looking at him, and Randy's like, "Hey, what? You got to count, man. Don't you know how to count? Start counting them, because it's the last man standing. The man has to answer the time before the count of 10."
And then the other spot was when they're in the conference room. You have that gate up on top. Edge goes flying from the gate, hits Randy, and that's a lot of fun. So, if you're patient, watch it. But otherwise, skip it.
Yeah. And with that takes us to the fifth match. We're almost done, guys. The fifth match of night 2 is a tag team, which has Angel Garza and Austin Theory.
Also the Street Profits.
But these guys were in a traditional tag team. So this is one of the things where the original tag team partner of Angel Garza, of Austin Theory, was not available. So they had to throw in Angel Garza, who's accompanied by Zelina Vega, versus the Street Profits. And
which
who
I love
wanted
her crown.
Yeah.
Her crown was gorgeous.
And who wanted to smoke but these guys? And this match goes for 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yep.
So you were a fan of the Street Profits, you said, right?
This match right off the back is definitely a revisit for me. It was a lot of fun. The Street Profits were pretty cool. Of course, they had matching ring gear. And then also we get to see Bianca as well. So this match was good storytelling. It was a lot of fun and good wrestling. I'd say watch it.
All right. And as for me, like she says, this was a very fast paced match. It felt like it was more of a showcase of the Street Profits than it was of anything that we got from Angel Garza and Austin Theory.
Oh, and like you said, Andrade was injured. So that's why Theory subbed in last minute for this match.
Yes, that's what it was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. It was the original, supposed to be the tag team of Angel Garza and Andrade, but Austin Theory was subbed in here because of the injury to Andrade. And so, like I mentioned, this seemed like it was more of a showcase because of the mismatched tag team of Garza and Theory. This seems like it was just like Vince is like, just go out there and show them what you got, boys. And the Street Profits did not disappoint.
They were awesome.
And they were awesome.
I had a lot of fun watching
they had
them.
They had a lot of high spots, and it was just too fast, too much to capture.
Also,
Angel also felt like I can see why Angel's still working up to this day. He's there, but I'm not sure exactly what they need. He's stuck in this gimmick with his cousin Humberto Garza. They go by the name Los Garzas, who are built together with Santos Escobar, and they're known as Legado del Fantasma. So,
what does that mean?
Legacy of the ghost or the phantasm.
Interesting.
So, with this this match, like Maria mentions, I think the highlight was after Theory and Garza lose, they have a post match little scrum. They start attacking the Street Profits because they're sore losers. And then eventually Zelina Vega starts joining in the beatdown. And that's when Bianca Belair comes out to save her WrestleMania debut, like Maria says, but also coming to save her man. I believe they were married at the time, by this time, Montez Ford and
her husband.
Yeah. But other than that, this match I feel is not really something that we should actually rewatch at all.
Shame.
So just because
Shame.
Unless you just want to see like the Street Profits in like a glorified squash match and see Bianca Belair on a WrestleMania page. I felt like this probably would have been better if this was in person because you would probably get the crowd popping more. But other than that, it just seems like a very forgettable moment for me.
I'd say watch it. It was not forgettable for me. I am unforgetting it. I'm remembering it right now. Revisit this match. Like I said, this marks the start of Bianca Belair's main roster dominance. This is her debut for Wrestlemania. We see her wrestling in 2025. She has been killing it. Street Profits are awesome. Revisit this match.
All right. And with that takes us to match number 6. We're almost there, guys.
What?
Match number 6 of night 2 of WrestleMania. We had the SmackDown Women's Championship being contested in a 5-women showdown. Fatal 5-way elimination between
everyone looked great, by the way.
Tamina, Naomi, Lacey Evans, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. Only 2 of these women are still on this roster.
Yes. Who is it? Naomi and
Bayley.
Yep.
And this match went for 19 minutes and 20 seconds. Maria?
Women's Championship, Fatal 5-way
for
elimination.
the SmackDown? Yes.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts? Who are you rooting for? I know you're a fan of Naomi.
I am always a fan of Naomi. And I'm a fan of Bayley. I'm also a fan of Sasha. But I mean, I'm also a fan of Lacey Evans.
Are you a fan of Lacey Evans?
Sorry, Tamina. I haven't been exposed to you as much, I suppose. But this match had really good tension. I enjoyed the wrestling. And we see, do you think Sasha saved Bayley?
She saved Bayley.
It's part of that storyline where they're still friends.
You mentioned to me, and we'll get a little bit more. We'll come up with that conversation that you brought up here.
Okay.
But this match was pretty much built to push more of the storyline of Sasha and Bayley. I think the question you asked was why didn't Lacey Evans win, or why wasn't Sasha upset that she pushed her in front of Lacey Evans
Yeah.
to take that woman's right? And it's pretty much that's the storyline. They're driving the wedge. They're driving the wedge between the two friends because there's no money, and I hate to sound cruel, but no one was out there begging for a Lacey Evans and a Bailey match. There's a reason why Lacey Evans is not out there wrestling still, and she's also one of those people out in OnlyFans. But we got this match going for 19 minutes, and it pretty much it has solid storytelling, especially like mentioned the Bailey and Banks thing. This made Tamina look strong, and I know we have Tamina here, but this made me ask, where was Nia Jax? Was she not with the company? I tried to find it, but I couldn't find anything because normally Nia would be part as far as like being the big strong woman inside of the ring. We have this women of color making themselves a little pact here to go against Bailey.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's what I took it as.
Okay.
And they're making the pact between Lacey and,
you went deep. I'm like,
Bailey,
what?
and then eventually it all falls apart, and they all do a pylon elimination on Tamina because she's the big brute force in this match.
Yeah,
After
strong.
this, Sasha Banks gets Naomi into the bank statement, and Naomi gets eliminated. We get further along thing, and we had the miscommunication. I don't have it here, but in the pictures, but we have Sasha is getting into it with Bailey after Bailey doesn't stop Lacey Evans from clotheslining her when she could have. They're doing a little miscommunication back and forth, and eventually Bailey pushes Lacey off of her. Lacey turns around and gives the woman's right, which is a right hand strike to Sasha Banks. She rolls up Sasha for a pin, and you still have Bailey by the ropes, not reaching to break the count.
Right.
But eventually everything's cool. When Bailey looks like she is going to lose, Sasha comes back, gives a backstabber to Lacey Evans for a 1-2-3 pin and the win for Bailey. So you would recommend this match?
I would recommend it. Again, all strong wrestlers. I really enjoyed the wrestling. I think their gear was awesome. Love Sasha's boots. Storyline has multiple layers and we have all these strong women wrestlers. Good action, good wrestling. Revisit.
As for me, as for newer fans, this would probably be worth watching. Here, if you're committed to starting somewhere, you want to know why Bailey's a big deal. These are one of the key feuds that Bailey had to become where she is now in the women's landscape. She's kind of like the measuring stick, in my opinion, when a woman's coming in, whether it's from NXT or from another thing. I feel like she pretty much has to face Bailey in order to be gauged as where to place her and things like that. But
good take.
This is a very good feud. We always say that friends always bring out the best of people, and Bailey and Sasha always find ways to make magic happen, and especially in their feud. So this feud eventually ends up having a blow up, and I believe it's at SummerSlam. So that's if you're still continuing on the 2020 timeline, I believe that is a very good match to watch there.
So at that takes us to
the Firefly Funhouse match between John Cena and The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
13 minutes. So, first off, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. But we see Cena return. He's seeking redemption, and he wants revenge for his lost. Well, Wyatt wants revenge. He wants revenge for his loss to Cena at WrestleMania 30. So we have Cena reliving some failed gimmicks that he had. They're in a psychological dreamscape, We have NWO Cena puppet. Vince says that's some good shit. You remember that puppet?
Yeah.
Puppet Vince. Also, we see Fiend pin Cena, who vanishes. So there's a few different things going on here. I did not care for I did not care for this match, even though it was written by Cena himself. What did you think about it?
Well, if you are one of these fans who are out there who say that Cena doesn't know how to wrestle, well, guess what? Here's a match where he doesn't do any wrestling at all. It's a 15-16 minute match, you said?
You were so rude.
In this match,
this is a 13-minute
in this
match.
13-14 minute match, he does no wrestling at all. If you are a fan of that, definitely rewatch it. As far as like grading this as a match, it's very difficult. These are one of these like cinematic matches that we have, and it's more of an artist take, like your interpretation type of thing. Like if this would probably been Cena's last match, maybe I'd recommend it for you to watch.
Terrible.
Mainly because it takes you like a "this is your life" type of
it's horrifying
way through John Cena's. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying,
I mean,
like
for this match is like making fun of.
You feel like this match is saying,
yeah, it was a little rough for me.
Okay, so let's start off here. So the John Cena walks through the Firefly Funhouse door, which takes you and it reveals to you your darkest secrets. And the first thing that John Cena goes is to back, I believe it's 2001, where Kurt Angle is out there throwing a promo where he makes a challenge. And this is when John Cena comes out with those little bitty orangey blue tights known as the prototype.
Looking wonderful.
To answer that call. What? We get this random Saturday night main event throwback. Well, I'm assuming that Bray Wyatt is doing his best Hulk Hogan impersonation. And I couldn't tell who John Cena was supposed to be in this one, but he's just lifting weights nonstop for some reason. So we had that one. We also had this one where John Cena comes out to be the doctor of thugonomics. So we see that too. But like you mentioned, this is pretty much Bray Wyatt trying to get his revenge because of this WrestleMania 30 moment. I don't know if you remember, but remember how we always had this when we reviewed this match. I had talked to you about the psychology of this match and how it was a great match. John Cena's always been billed as this face that he always does the right thing.
Right.
And in this particular match, he didn't. Bray Wyatt pushed his buttons to the limit where he actually hit him with the chair.
Right.
And Bray Wyatt brings it out to him at this point where he's like, this is your chance to fix your mistake. This is your chance to do what's right. And John Cena still goes out there and does the same choice that he did 6 years ago and swings at Bray Wyatt to hit him with the chair. So eventually the Fiend comes out, attacks Cena, puts Cena in that mandible claw like you mentioned.
Right.
He gets a pin in the win, and this all feels like it will John Cena's body disappears, and it feels like it was a very terrible nightmare. And cut to Titus, who says, I have no idea what I just watched.
That's what I said.
And if you're one of those fans that feel the same way, I understand.
That's what you might say after you watch this.
Yeah. So would I recommend anyone watch this? If you're a newer fan and if you become introduced to John Cena and you want to see John Cena's career, this is probably like a great explanation, like kind of like a great bookend. You see, like mentioned, this is like this is your life version of John Cena's career, and this not truncated match, but a truncated version of John Cena's career in this match or cinematic match. As a long-time fan, would I recommend anyone rewatch this? No, not at all. And from that, we move on to the last match.
I didn't say what I were.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I would not revisit it. Don't revisit it. It was a nightmare. Also a little scary.
All right. And
that's it.
Okay. And with that match.
Oh, I was gonna say my bookend for John Cena will be, since he's turned heel this year in 2025 and he's on his goodbye tour, his final match. So I want to see how this wraps up with his heel turn this year.
Oh, I thought you had a suggestion for what his final match should be.
No, that's it. That's just my bookend for his career that we've watched so far. So
to have a "This Is Your Life" John Cena.
No, I just want to see where this year takes him. So
okay,
that's it.
All right. And with this, we get to the last match of our 2-night WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre.
This was your favorite match?
Versus Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Heavyweight Championship for Monday Night Raw.
Main event.
This is the main event.
This
match goes for 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
The shortest match in WrestleMania history.
If we are not counting the match at WrestleMania 9 where Bret Hart loses to Yokozuna, and who's there to pick up the pieces but Hulk Hogan.
How is the duration in that, though?
I'm just saying, if we don't count that as a match, that's the only other shorter match that I can remember. Which, if you guys are interested, we see that the WWE is coming out with a documentary of this terrible pay-per-view of WrestleMania 9.
We will be watching
We have reviewed WrestleMania 9. So if you are interested, we will go ahead and rewatch that and compare our notes and see why something went wrong and why we probably rated it that way without knowing any of the background or history.
I like that, like spy versus spy comparison.
Yeah. So with that,
y'all remember those comics from Mad?
The Black Spy and the White Spy.
Yeah, it's like we'll do the comparison.
Yeah. So Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, who are you digging?
Drew, I guess, for this very short match. What a bummer way to end a WrestleMania 36. Night 2. If you enjoyed the shortest match ever in a WrestleMania to date, comment below.
Yeah. So look at the stare down here, and I did not know, or it never occurred to me that Drew McIntyre was actually taller than Brock Lesnar here. So it's one of those rarities where if it's not the Undertaker, someone else is taller than Brock Lesnar. So this all had the makings of we're gonna have Brock Lesnar go over as we got the start of him starting his German suplex foray, but as soon as that starts to get going, Drew McIntyre hits Brock Lesnar with a Claymore, and the stakes are back even again. And Brock starts beating up again on Drew McIntyre, starts dominating him more on a bunch of a bunch of German suplexes, and where he actually hits 3 in a row and 3 consecutive F5s. Brock goes for the pin. You probably think it's over too if you're watching this for the first time, but Drew McIntyre kicks out. First at 1, and then Brock Lesnar goes for another pin, and then 2, and he kicks out again. Lesnar can't believe it. Eventually when Lesnar gets up and Drew McIntyre gets up, Drew McIntyre hits him with 1 Claymore. Drew McIntyre's on a roll. He hits him with another Claymore, and then he hits him with this final Claymore and gets the 1, 2, 3 pin in the win to be the new WWE Heavyweight Champion. Maria?
Yes.
Would you recommend anyone come back and rewatch this match?
I mean, if you're interested in seeing Drew McIntyre in a WrestleMania, sure. If you're a fan of Brock Lesnar, which you were, right?
No, I was
at that time.
But then eventually I got tired of him because
you got tired of the German suplexes and the F5s because that's all I see when I see him wrestling.
Yes, it started to be like Goldberg towards the end of his runs.
It's like when you're playing Mortal Kombat and you only know a few moves, you stick to those 1 or 2 moves and piss your other person that's playing you. That's what I see when he wrestles, so it's not that exciting for me. I wouldn't say pass it. It's not like worth a revisit, and it's kind of a bummer to wrap up a WrestleMania 2-night event, but that's just me.
As for me, would I recommend anyone go back and rewatch this match? For newer fans, it's a 5 minute match. If you really want to, if you're a fan of Drew McIntyre and you want to see his win,
And if you're a fan of Drew Barrymore, you can catch your clips on YouTube somewhere.
but if you want to see Drew McIntyre getting his first heavyweight championship win, it probably would have been more meaningful if he had the audience, especially as they're showing you the build to this match.
Mm-hmm.
They showed, after you won the Royal Rumble before COVID lockdowns go down, the crowd was white hot for him,
Mm-hmm.
and they were really rallying behind him. And this feels like it would have been more meaningful, especially to Drew
with the crowd.
With the crowd.
Okay.
So as far as rewatching this, because it's a good match and things like that, it's not. But if you want to enjoy that moment with Drew, if you're a fan of Drew, then I would say rewatch it for that, because it's a very meaningful payoff, and the announcers do a good job of selling that Drew McIntyre deserves this win and that he earns this win and that he's now the guy.
I hear you. That makes sense.
Yep.
So overall, was this WrestleMania 36 worth revisiting?
Certain matches,
Okay.
What do we say? It's a disappointment? No, because I could think of other WrestleManias that would be considered disappointment. Even though we go through each match and make our recommendations, I believe maybe WrestleMania 9 would be one that we were very disappointed in. WrestleMania 11 probably be another one that we were probably disappointed in.
We have a few gems here. So we have KO versus Rollins, which is pretty cool. That triple threat ladder match
for the SmackDown tag team titles.
Some forgettable items like that Goldberg versus Strowman, Corbin versus Elias. Like, no thanks to those. So what's our final verdict?
I think my final verdict is for night one, watch the triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown tag team titles. Watch KO versus Seth Rollins. And for night two, you can go ahead and, I believe, watch the tag team, not the tag team, the first match, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. Even though it runs a little bit long, I still think it's worth revisiting just so you could see what I was talking about sometimes you losing to Charlotte Flair after you've had a good run and NXT can't put you down.
Right.
And don't believe I have any other matches.
Well, then just like for historical WrestleMania 36, that Boneyard match is a match that people are still talking about today. That Firefly Funhouse match, I guess because it's unique, it's different. KO versus Rollins, that ladder match. We talked about the ladies' matches, which I'm a fan of. But the question is, you, the audience, what do you think? Was WrestleMania 36 as an underrated classic? Does it belong in the no fans era Hall of Shame?
Oh, and also the Fatal 5-Way was the other match I would recommend for night two. So I got 2 matches on each night. But yeah, drop your comments below. What do you guys think? If you watched this COVID pandemic WrestleMania event, do you agree with my recommendations? Do you agree with Maria's recommendations? Why or why not? Go ahead and drop a comment below, and we'll see where we go from there as far as continuing the discussion.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more Revisiting the Mania. We're back. We'll be back in a few weeks with WrestleMania 37.
We're hoping to get that out at the end of the month on April 27th, around the same time. So if there's nothing else to take care of,
until next time, keep revisiting the Mania.
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe if you haven't done so, and share with a friend. Have a great night, guys.
Deuces.
Ooses.